Hi and welcome to the 10 Tampa Bay News Week in Review, your essential weekly news roundup. I'm Courtney Robinson. Over the next 30 minutes, we're bringing you important and in-depth stories from across Tampa Bay. The week started with U.S. forces capturing Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro and his wife, bringing them to the United States to face numerous federal charges. A judge arraigned them in a Manhattan federal court on Monday. Both pleaded not guilty to 4 charges, including conspiracy to import cocaine and machine guns. Their capture was met with cheers and condemnations from around the world for the Trump administration. On Tuesday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis spoke in Clearwater about plans to hold Maduro accountable here.
Tonight, Governor Ron DeSantis announcing the state of Florida is seriously considering bringing their own charges against ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
Bringing him to justice is absolutely appropriate.
The governor saying the charges would focus on narcotics and the Venezuelan leader allegedly taking criminals from Venezuelan prisons and sending them into Florida.
We've had people in Florida that have been victimized by Tren de Aragua gang members, and many of those people likely would never have even been able to come here had Maduro not been releasing people from prison.
DeSantis making the announcement while paying a visit to Clearwater to throw his support behind a push to ban stock trading within Congress.
You'll have people get elected to Congress having never shown any investment acumen ever in their life, and then all of a sudden they become Warren Buffett on steroids.
The governor joined by Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, who's proposing legislation that would prohibit members of Congress from buying or trading individual stocks while in office.
You're supposed to go to Congress to serve, not to become a multimillionaire.
They have access to certain information, I believe, that is helping to fuel that.
A regulation he believes can be tackled at the state level as well, announcing his own proposal tonight that would require all Florida candidates running for Congress to disclose if they plan to trade stocks before launching their campaign. Now, there's no timeline as of right now on when Maduro could face these charges here in Florida. The Venezuelan leader appeared in federal court in New York yesterday and adamantly pleaded not guilty to a slew of charges, including narco-terrorism. Reporting here in Clearwater, Andy Payton, 10 Tampa Bay News.
Attention is now turning to Cuba, one of Venezuela's closest allies. President Trump alluded to the potential fall of Cuba's regime. As 10 Tampa Bay News reporter Miguel Octavio found, that's raised questions within Tampa Bay's large Cuban-American population.
News of U.S. intervention in Venezuela.
It was surprising and elating at the same time.
Brought hope for Rafael Pisano of Tampa.
It was remarkable when we saw that. I couldn't believe it.
The rippling effect reaches beyond borders to Cuba.
Cuba's on the verge of falling, and the help that we need is that awareness, that people know that this is a bad dictatorship.
Rafael's father, Robert, spent 18 years as a political prisoner in Cuba, shot and tortured, but today, he and his son are outspoken against Cuba's communist regime.
Bro, my family suffered, bro.
That was evident nearly 3 years ago. A confrontation against a Cuban ambassador's visit to Tampa went viral.
And it's a shame that no top killers in Cuba. And you are disgusting.
President Trump says this moment could accelerate Cuba's collapse.
Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela.
Experts say Cuba is in its worst economic crisis in decades.
They're about to get worse as they are cut off from Venezuelan oil. There are so many moving parts to the story, both in Venezuela and on the ground in Cuba, that I think we have to wait to see how things play out.
Some in the country remain concerned. Back in Tampa, protests against the Cuban government have increased in recent years. For Pisano, U.S. intervention could finally be a turning point.
So this is a tremendous victory. It's a happy day for my family and many families that were exiled here, and we look forward to seeing what the next steps are.
That was Miguel Octavio reporting. Protests erupted across the country with smaller demonstrations here in Tampa after a deadly altercation between an ICE agent and a woman in Minneapolis. On Wednesday, the ICE agent shot and killed Renee Nicole Good at the scene of a protest. You've likely seen numerous videos of the incident, but not all of them are available for us to use. ICE and members of the Trump administration say Good was blocking the road and then hit the agent, who fired in self-defense. But Minneapolis leaders and witnesses say Good was just trying to move her vehicle and the agent had plenty of time to get out of the way. Our investigative team here looked at policies for Bay Area law enforcement agencies regarding shooting into a moving vehicle. As our Jennifer Titus found, most are identical, but one expert tells us while policies are good, training has also needs to be in place.
Now, we reached out to all law enforcement agencies across the Bay, and those who got back to us show us that policies regarding this issue really match up to the federal policy, which says you do not shoot at a moving car unless someone inside is shooting at you. It goes on to also say that when approaching a car, you stay out of harm's way. You do not go in front of it or behind it. Now, we did speak with a professor who's written studies on this issue that says while policies are good, the training has to match.
You as the chief can write a policy, but do your officers on the street believe in it and follow it? So you can have cultural issues with the department, right? You're trained one way in the academy, but then when you go out on the street, your partner says, hey, that's not how we do it in real life. This is how you should do it, right? And so yes, there's good policies, but are they being trained on those policies, and is it part of the culture to follow their training?
Now, we did take a look at these types of incidents in the Bay Area, and one of the latest incidents to pop up was about 10 years ago when a Clearwater officer was found to have not followed several policies after shooting into a car. He resigned before the investigation into the incident was complete. We know that officials are investigating what happened in Minneapolis. Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigates.
On Tuesday, Gulfport City Council voted to move forward on formally acknowledging the city's past as a sundown town. But as 10 Tampa Bay news reporter Chris Hurst shows you, not everyone on council agrees with the idea.
Gulfport was different in their treating of our Black residents.
Pinellas historian Josette Green says newspaper records leave no doubt Gulfport used to be a sundown town.
In 1937, a city council member, Bruno Beckhard, was quoted saying that no Negroes would be allowed within the town limits after sundown.
At the time, citizens sued St. Petersburg to stop a Black bathing beach in what is now South Pasadena.
People generally feel that they're welcomed here now, but that doesn't preclude what's happened before and acknowledging something that happened.
Current Vice Mayor April Thanos says constituents continue to ask her to attempt racial reconciliation by formally acknowledging that part of the city's history. But the mayor says discrimination was never written into code.
There's no proof that the city of Gulfport, and when I say the city, I mean the council, that they ever codified it and agreed to it.
How do you define a sundown town? Is it because there is a concrete little paragraph that city officials approve? Or do you look at the behavior and how residents have been treated through decades?
Tonight, a majority of council agreed to task the city attorney with drafting an acknowledgement.
I wouldn't be opposed to that because it does seem to come up from time to time.
That was Chris Hurst reporting. Nothing has been adopted yet, and the city attorney said he'll need to get more direction from council members individually to present something at a future meeting. New charges Tuesday for this couple accused of animal cruelty after police say they dumped 12 sick dogs in a Largo park. A puppy named Frosty showed signs of abuse and later died. Mary Ann and Fred Gamble face 5 new counts of felony animal cruelty, making it a total of 17 charges each. 10 Tampa Bay news reporter Kristen Barbarisi shows you who else appeared in court.
It appears there's a bunch of people here for Frosty.
The judge took notice of the packed courtroom Tuesday, calling for justice for Frosty and the other dogs found abused, sick, and left for dead, allegedly at the hands of Mary Ann and Fred Gamble.
It's beautiful and it's so inspiring that this little dog has touched so many.
The group rallied ahead of the hearing, calling for the maximum penalty.
I personally think someone that can hurt a defenseless animal is a sociopath, and I think they need to be off of our streets.
Both Gambles now face a total of 17 felony counts of animal cruelty, 1 for each of the 12 dogs found abandoned and 5 more for dogs police say were found dead and buried in their yard. In court, the judge read the new charges.
Well, there's 5 more today, it looks like.
A defiant Mary Ann seemed to make light of the case as the judge read bond conditions.
May not have any contact with the animals. No dogs, no cats, no well-trained attack falcons, no gerbils, no ferrets, no nothing, all right? Stay away from the manatees.
No squirrels?
No squirrels, no dumpster pandas, nothing, all right? If it's not human, you're not having contact. All right, good, we got it.
Maybe ants, yes.
Animal activists say it's that kind of attitude that pushes them to show up to these hearings demanding justice.
I mean, even from her mugshot, she just, it just goes to show you, I mean, that's the kind of person we're dealing with. So she doesn't deserve any kind of animal. So, I mean, she deserves to be in jail, and hopefully she'll stay there.
The judge set bond at $5,000 for each count.
If you don't have any questions, we're done. Oh, no, I'm not going to change your bond amount.
The Gambles will now remain in jail on $85,000 bond each.
Kristen Barbarisi reporting. The 11 surviving dogs who were dumped and the 4 taken from the home when the Gambles were arrested are all doing well. The rescue says all have either been adopted or have meet and greets with their potential forever homes already scheduled. A woman is suing a Largo apartment complex because of spiders like the one you see right here. She claims property managers failed to respond to her concerns. She says the spiders bit her, causing severe infections and much more. As 10 Tampa Bay News reporter Miguel Octavio shares, she's now seeking compensation.
2026. The new year just begun, but Patricia Shields says the effects of last year still linger.
It's been a long year. I just want it to be over.
She says spiders like this one were found in the bathroom of her old apartment in Largo. She says she suffered several bites from them.
They hurt, they burned. It's a burning feeling.
Shields says the infections worsened, resulting in doctors amputating 2 of her toes.
It looks ridiculous. It's embarrassing. And I hate having to explain myself all the time.
In a lawsuit against Grand Oak Apartments in Largo and other defendants, Shields says she reported the issue several times, but claims management didn't respond effectively.
They threw them away or blew me off. And then the very last time when I went and asked them to release me from the lease mutual agreement, they told me no.
According to court filings, defendants in this case deny Shields' allegations, adding they are not responsible for causing claimed injuries and damages. Another filing says Shields' complaints lack specifics. But Shields, who is on disability and got Section 8 housing, says her options were limited. Hurricane Helene flooded her previous home.
I have begged office management, owners. I just want everything settled. I really just want to go back to my life.
In Largo, Miguel Octavio, 10 Tampa Bay News.
The defendants have also filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit. They have not responded to our requests for comment on this report. We'll let you know when and if that changes. A Treasure Island commissioner is suing the city clerk and the Pinellas County Supervisor of Elections, trying to stop a recall to remove him from office. As 10 Tampa Bay News reporter Chris Hurst explained on Wednesday, he's also suing the man he sent a lewd text to about his wife that kicked off the recall effort.
My commissioner asked me, what is my wife, Kim,
Excuse me, this is
what
a
is
private
Kim
matter?
wearing other than rent?
This is a private matter.
It's not a private matter. It's on the city phone.
Last September, Treasure Island Commissioner Arthur Cezanne tried to stop constituent Rick Matthew from reading a text Cezanne sent him early in the morning.
Did you kill Charlie? When can I clean your feet?
It's a reference to Jesus.
Kisses, let me finish. Kisses to Kim, my 61-year-old wife. First, then you second. I'm not interested.
Mentioning Matthew's wife kickstarted a movement called 100 Women of Treasure Island that sent a letter to the governor asking for Cezanne's removal with no response.
He has time and again shown a path that he will not listen to the residents.
Tonight, Matthew says they passed their first hurdle in collecting enough signatures to continue the recall process.
The second phase will be a petition will be written with his rebuttal, and then 15% of the residents have to sign that.
But instead of writing that, Cezanne instead sued Matthew, his own city clerk, and the local supervisor of elections, saying the recall is illegal.
It's a lot of speculation, and the burden of proof is on them.
The complaint saying, while the nonsensical text sent by Commissioner Cezanne may be eccentric, perhaps even bizarre, it's not grounds for removal. In Treasure Island, Chris Hurst, 10 Tampa Bay News.
We sent a message to Cezanne asking for additional comment and got no response. This week, the city of St. Pete opened a 30-day window for developers to submit their proposals for the historic gas plant district. The call for submissions has already sparked interest, as 10 Tampa Bay News reporter Andy Payton found that interest worries some people in the city.
Right now, no one really knows what the historic gas plant district is going to become.
Our investment firm wants to buy the historic gas plant.
But if you couldn't tell by the excitement around it, what we all do know is that it's a gold mine.
It absolutely is a gold mine. This is probably one of the most, if not the most valuable, ready-to-go huge parcels of land in the United States.
Over the weekend, the city of St. Pete opened the 30-day window for developers to make their pitch to redevelop the 86-acre Tropicana field site. And it already has many prominent developers in the region throwing jabs.
Anybody can put a proposal down on paper. Only a few can execute.
With proposals ranging from green spaces to entertainment venues to affordable housing complexes.
I'm retired from Raymond James, but I'm not retired from life.
But Ron Diner says this approach is all wrong. He spent the greater part of his career working for Raymond James Affordable Housing and has since started the advocacy group Home Runs Matter that led a campaign against the Rays Stadium deal.
We should stop the process that is occurring, and we should do it ourselves.
Now, he says, the city of St. Pete is potentially losing on close to $1 billion in long-term public value by selling the gas plant district as a whole rather than planning out the land themselves and selling it in parcels.
We can't afford to give up $1 billion. We have billions of dollars in needs to stop the flooding from our next hurricane.
And is not just calling on the city, but developers.
And once the property is laid out, they can buy the properties, this parcel here, parcel there, at fair value. That way they win and the city wins as well.
The new year also brought new changes to how those of you who gamble will handle your taxes. On Wednesday, 10 Tampa Bay News reporter Miranda Parnell spoke to a sports gambling expert about how the changes could impact your bank account.
When your money's on the table, the goal is always to win. But sports betting and gambling attorney Daniel Wallach believes new changes hitting the industry will be a lose-lose.
There's no winners here.
Starting this year, Americans filing their taxes will now only be able to deduct 90% of their gambling losses as opposed to the previous 100%. Simply put, if you won 10 grand but also lost 10 grand gambling this year, before you would have technically broken even, but not with this new 10% change.
So you could break even as a gambler and still owe money to the federal government. Prior to 2026, you could deduct all of your gambling losses and apply it against your winnings.
Hunter Whittle has been sports betting for about 3 years and says he doesn't think a lot of bettors will understand the changes.
Whenever you win, you just think you got free money, of course. So now at this point, people are going to actually have to think about it and track it and know how much to pay in taxes.
Wallach says the changes may push professional bettors to find other ways to avoid paying up.
Instead of betting with the Hard Rock app in Florida, maybe they go offshore. Maybe they go into the sports prediction markets. And if and when that happens, the state is going to lose taxable income.
As for Whittle, he's already speaking with his accountant on how to handle tax season this year, keeping the most important rule in mind as he does so.
The House is always going to win, so people have to remember that. It's either going to be the government, it's going to be the state of Florida, or it's going to be Hard Rock Bet.
In St. Pete, Miranda Parnell, 10 Tampa Bay News.
Flu season is here, and the CDC released new data this week showing around 5,000 people have already died from the illness. On Tuesday, 10 Tampa Bay News reporter Annie Krall explained why experts say this year is very different.
He says he has no appetite whatsoever.
That's how Sarasota resident Manuel Chipote would describe his friend Peter after the man in his 80s got diagnosed with the flu about 3 weeks ago. He learned on Monday that Peter's wife, Mary, also has the flu and is now in the hospital.
Peter has lost 8 pounds and Mary has lost 10 pounds. Mary is weighing now 98 pounds. And she was not very heavy to start with.
Not an uncommon story as cases spike nationwide. As of December 27th, the CDC estimates there have been at least 11 million flu cases with at least 120,000 hospitalizations across the country. Dr. Stephanie Reynolds, an emergency room physician at HCA Florida Sarasota Doctors Hospital, said an atypical strain is partially why people who got their flu shot are still getting sick. The aggressive strain is impacting children and sending them to the hospital with pneumonia.
When a child is breathing, if you can see their ribs or their movement of their chest
or their collarbones sink down. Those are very ominous signs and you need to get to the hospital. Your child is having respiratory distress, possibly pneumonia, from the influenza.
Visits to the doctor for fever plus a cough or sore throat, common flu symptoms, are at the highest levels since the 1997 to 1998 flu season.
Doctors say once your fever or your child's fever reaches 104 or even 105 degrees Fahrenheit, you should certainly come to the emergency room before things get any worse.
Influenza historically has been a huge killer in our society. It takes people away at a younger age and at an older age. The risk of death from complications from influenza is there.
Annie Krall, 10 Tampa Bay News.
And here are symptoms to watch out for so you know whether you may have the flu, COVID, or just allergies. According to the National Institutes of Health, if you have a fever, that's almost always going to be the flu. If you have difficulty breathing, it's most likely COVID. A headache with other symptoms is likely a giveaway for the flu. Tampa Police rolled out new AI technology. It helps sidestep language barriers, and it also allows police to see what you see when you call 911. The department says this improves safety and communications. 10 Tampa Bay News reporter Angelicia Bruton breaks down how it works and how it helps you in a crisis.
TPD says new AI technology is transforming how dispatchers and officers connect with callers. They say that dispatchers usually rely on their ears, but now they can see what the caller sees in real time.
Tampa Police, 911. What is the location of the emergency?
Be able to take the phone call and send a text message out to our callers, asking them for permission to use their cell phone camera to see what they're seeing.
Callers can also send in pictures now.
Just last week, we took a 5-year-old that was missing, and we asked the parent, do they have a recent picture of their child? We were able to get that picture of the child and immediately put it on 12 officers' cell phones.
Video can even be shared with the officers in real time.
Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkhoff says homicides, violent crimes, and property crimes are down, but there's still more work to be done.
The criminals are using AI, then we better be using AI too.
Chief Burkhoff says they updated their Axon technology, giving officers access to more than 50 language translations.
A gente estava brigando e meu namorado pegou meu carro e foi embora.
Using their body-worn cameras.
Identified Portuguese that we were fighting, and my boyfriend took my car and left.
An officer wouldn't have to wait for a backup to come. Somebody was attacked. They only speak a different language. We want to get that suspect information out as quick as possible. That will help us solve the crimes and prevent future crimes from happening.
Officers will also have access to voice-activated policy guidance with official citations.
So the goals of this technology is not to replace officers. It is to help us with our sense of urgency, to reduce crime, and to increase our transparency.
Angelicia Bruton, 10 Tampa Bay News.
The city of Lakeland is also turning to artificial intelligence to monitor road conditions. Leaders say the tech will help prevent potholes before they happen. 10 Tampa Bay News reporter Andy Payton brings you a closer look.
It's not the way any of us want to start our day. We're heading out the door, maybe on our way to work, and then all of a sudden, pothole. But what if there was a way to fix a pothole before they even form?
You're gonna see it's a multi-sensored system.
The city of Lakeland now believes they can.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
This week, unanimously approving a contract with Roadway Management Technologies.
Road AI uses a type of technology called computer vision
that will take everyday city vehicles and install AI technology that will take pictures every 75 feet and use vibrations to monitor for cracks, weak spots in the pavement, and of course, potholes.
We are one of the first in the area to utilize this technology.
The contract set to cost the city $60,000 annually and will allow them to check the roads daily, as opposed to their previous system that saw workers manually mark weak spots every 2 years.
You think of ChatGPT, you think of Meta, right? Did you ever think you'd be seeing this actually helping the roadways?
Listen, we have vacuums that kind of drive themselves, right? So eventually it was going to work its way to the government space, and today we have it.
That was Andy Payton reporting. Drivers in Lakeland can expect to see this new technology hit the roads in just about 2 months. 15 of those vehicles will roll out on March 1st. A centuries-old tradition drew huge crowds to Tarpon Springs Tuesday and made history in the water. A record number of teenagers dove into Spring Bayou for the annual Epiphany celebration, all hoping to retrieve the ceremonial cross. But only one emerged with it. 10 Tampa Bay News reporter Eric Glasser shows you how it all unfolded and what this moment means to the young man who retrieved it.
Yeah, a record 74 teenagers took to the cool waters of Spring Bayou for this year's Epiphany celebration, all hoping to retrieve that ceremonial cross. Today marked the 120th year for the tradition here in Tarpon Springs, symbolizing Christ's baptism in the River Jordan. As is tradition, local teenage boys filled the small boats placed in Spring Bayou and then jumped in to find the cross that the Archbishop of St. Nicholas Cathedral had tossed into the cool waters. When they emerged, it was 18-year-old Athos Karistinos from Tarpon Springs who had found it. His fellow divers hoisted Karistinos on their shoulders, carrying him back from the bayou to St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Cathedral, shouting Axios, which is Greek for he is worthy, along the way. Karistinos is an 18-year-old senior at Palm Harbor High School. This was his third and final year to participate in the annual ceremony.
I'm so overwhelmed right now, but in a good way. All I can say, it's one big blessing, all of it.
Karistinos says he saw a glow in the water as soon as he dove in and grabbed it. He says he didn't do anything in particular to practice for the cross dive, although he does come from generations of sponge divers and was raised on the water. In fact, the blessing of retrieving the cross runs in the family. Karistinos' father did it in 1991. An uncle and 2 cousins have as well. In Tarpon Springs, Eric Lasser, 10 Tampa Bay News.
Continuing the tradition, science education is stepping outside museum walls. Mosey and the Children's Board of Hillsborough County are bringing hands-on STEM learning to the Plant City Family Resource Center called Be the Dinosaur. The partnership focuses on access and early education. This week, we showed you how kids learned through play and exploration, with dinosaurs leading the way.
Be the Dinosaur is an interactive exhibit based on the Hells Creek Formation out west in the United States. All scientifically based and accurate information where kids get to play a video game that turns them into a dinosaur, and they have to learn how to survive in the Cretaceous era. Everything here is interactive. The touch screens where you can play different videos, learn all about dinosaurs, and then the games themselves. It's sort of an Oregon Trail meets dinosaurs, and you have to know what to eat, when to eat it, when to fight, when to run.
So right now we are in the process of digging for dinosaurs. So we've got little fossil eggs here.
And sometimes I'll do this because it's kind of easy.
Dinosaurs are one of those things that every child loves dinosaurs. Every child has that moment. You do love dinosaurs. When we first put in the dinosaur exhibit, just seeing the excitement, they would just run in.
Hey, you hit something, look.
So we like to be able to bring MOSI programming to where the people are, so right here in their communities.
Which helps offer additional learning opportunities for children and also family engagement.
You've got super scary claws.
Getting kids interested in the sciences at a very young age is critical to keeping them interested as they get older.
One really fast.
That was really fast? Experiences like this where they can come in, they don't know that they're learning. And they walk away and they go, oh, hey, now I know when this dinosaur lived or why they died out, those kind of things. You know, we know that sticks with them later in life.
Thank you so much for watching this Weekend Review. Be sure to keep it right here on 10 Tampa Bay News for the very latest information that impacts your life.